Welcome to another episode of BLD, a Beatdown. We take a look at the world of WWE, and today it is Superstar Shake-Up with me, Dolph Ziggler's dad, and the return of Notebook Ninja Boy. Right, now what we've done is, prior to making the video, we've just jotted down our own predictions for what we thought was going to happen, and we have had a little sneak comparison, and some of it's quite similar, but there's a few differences, so let's get on with it. Now then, to start off with, let's go with the biggie that we think is going to happen, and it's not a big surprise. I think it's been rumoured quite a bit, which is potentially
to Raw. Really don't want this to happen. AJ Styles.
Now, as Ninja Boy said, neither of us want this to happen, but it just seems to be a likely conclusion to what's been going on. If you've been having an argument with the boss to the point where you've actually had the boss in the ring and try to beat him up, then perhaps it's time to move on. So I've got a feeling, a strong feeling, AJ Styles could be on his way to Raw. Who do you think could be going in return?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I just wrote names down.
Right, well, the way we've done this, I have a strong feeling that if you're going to be doing swapsies...
But I do have, like,
a strong feeling, which I shall now try and say before Ninja Boy interrupts again. I have a strong feeling that if you're going to do swapsies, you're going to do trades. It's got to be like, it's got to be fair. It's got to be like for like. It's got to be something worthwhile. So you're unlikely to say, okay, you can have AJ Styles and we'll have Fred the Cleaner. It's not going to work like that, is it? So
Fred the Cleaner.
The way I see it, I'm going to tell them what I've said. AJ Styles on his way to Raw, but in return, the architect, Seth Rollins, to head over to SmackDown. He too, not exactly getting on with the bosses right now. What better way to shake things up than move him over in the opposite direction? So that's the first pairing I've got down, is AJ Styles to Raw, Seth Rollins to SmackDown. So if you're not doing any particular trade-off, just tell us who you've got going in the other direction.
To SmackDown, I put Roman Reigns.
Right. You really don't like SmackDown at the moment, do you? Get rid of AJ Styles, you're giving them Roman Reigns. Don't want to see that happening. Do not want to see that happening. Yeah. Okay, now, next person I've got going over to SmackDown is someone who I think could be used a lot more, and is quite entertaining. Certainly like singing his music when he comes bouncing into the ring, and that's Sami Zayn. And going in the opposite direction, I've got somebody who I think is... he's sort of broken his ties with his old family, just to give you a clue, and it's about time he started doing his own thing. He's found his own voice recently. They've had him doing his own promos, so I think Luke Harper could be looking for fresh fields in them Raw valleys. Ninja?
I can pair these up easily. So to Raw, I put Dolph Ziggler. I get the feeling...
My son, Dolph Ziggler, yes?
Because he's not really got anyone to have a rivalry with on SmackDown.
Right.
And so I think putting him to Raw might be good, so yeah.
Right.
And to SmackDown, I have also put Sami Zayn.
You are taller than me. That's amazing. Now, I've turned my attention to the women. And looking at the ladies, I quite fancy a big shake-up. No, steady. We're going down that road. I quite fancy a big shake-up. If it was just going to be a small shake-up, I'd say, look, take Emma from Raw. It's taken Raw 19 years to announce Emma as she is. Stick her over on SmackDown, and Natalya, who's not being used on SmackDown, thank goodness, stick her over onto Raw. That's if they're just going to do a little trade-off, but I fancy a bigger trade-off. And I quite like the look of Charlotte heading over to SmackDown, because she's duffed up just about everyone she needs to duff up in Raw. And then in the opposite direction, I quite like the idea of Alexa Bliss going and creating her own particular Bliss Havoc on the other side. So that's a big trade-off on the women. I've got Charlotte going over to SmackDown, Alexa Bliss going over to Raw.
I've put with females to SmackDown Charlotte as well, but instead of Alexa Bliss, I've put Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch, yeah, I can see that happening as well.
And the reason I thought Sasha Banks, but then instead of to go to SmackDown, but then I thought well, she could probably turn heel and have a rivalry with Bailey, so Charlotte.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Now, as part of my trading off, I felt what better way to get people's attention than to swap a couple of champions over. And the champions I've chosen to go over to SmackDown, now that his friendship's over, it's Kevin Owens. Send Kevin Owens over to SmackDown, but in return, you've got to have someone of equal stature, equal skill, equal standing, and perhaps tapped as well. And who better than the Lunatic Fringe?
It's a crazy trade.
Dean Ambrose. It's a biggie, granted, it's a biggie, but I think it could happen. Ninja Boy?
Same. Dean Ambrose.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. We've actually picked that exactly the same. Right. Now then, another one that is not so much of a shock, perhaps if I suggest the New Day going over to SmackDown, even though Kofi's now got his foot in plaster, he's got one of those big special medical boots on, you've still got two members of New Day quite capable of having a scrap.
And Kofi will be coming back soon.
Yeah, he's not going to be out for a year, is he?
Forever.
So fancy him going to going to SmackDown. The problem is SmackDown really does need a boost. I mean, they've got American Alpha, they've got the Usos, but they haven't really got much else in terms of tag teams. So you don't really want to send over a decent tag team in return. What I could perhaps see happening is, remember Heath Slater and Rhino together, known as Heath Slater. They were, of course, the first tag team champions on SmackDown, so I could perhaps see them going in the opposite direction, but then maybe Raw just splitting them up and using them as individuals again, and using the potential in that way, because they don't really need any other tag teams, to be honest. So that's what I see on the tag team front. Certainly the Usos moving over, and I can only really see Heafy and Rhino going in the opposite direction.
Do you mean the New Day moving over?
What did I say?
The Usos.
I'll wait until I get to the end of the sentence, look a complete doofus. Thank you very much. Yes, I do indeed mean the New Day. Ninja?
I have the New Day to SmackDown, but to Raw I have American Alpha.
American Alpha, interesting shout. It doesn't leave you an awful lot on SmackDown, does it?
No, but American Alpha, just old now.
They're
Not
just
in
old.
terms of age, they're just
like,
old. They're,
so,
they're so like 2
the
months
youngest
ago.
tag team champion on SmackDown is now deemed too old by Ninja Boy.
It's 2 months ago, like so 2 months ago.
So 2 months ago.
That's all 5 minutes
What's
ago.
the Seagus? Right, so there we have it. Those are our predictions for Superstar Shake-Up, SmackDown, Shakedown, Raw Line, whatever you want to call it. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And don't forget you haven't got long, because of course this is Monday evening. It's all happening this evening. Let us know what you think down below.
Evening.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's over 2 evenings. And not quite sure how it is going to pan out, whether they are going to do sort of like for like, or they're just going to do random shouts, and he's too tired already. So he obviously can't stay up. Oh, whoa, just broke my arm. So there we have it. Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, but most important of all, if you like the video, smash us a like down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and until we see you again, you stay cool.